You know what? I always wanted to read this book, and I didn't. And I might still read the book, but I didn't. So I don't know how many people have, but that's my going into this, is that I did not read the book. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Spoiler Alert. I won't do the whole title, but anyway, I'm a blind film critic, so I watch films with audio description, and this film does, in fact, have audio description. It is currently on Peacock, which means, of course, I got cut off. So I don't know who does the audio description, but it wanted to throw me into something else that I'm sure was equally important for me to watch. Just amazing. This is based on Michael Ausiello's memoir of his time with his partner who died of cancer. That's the spoiler alert, by the way. Technically, the whole title of this film is Spoiler Alert, the hero dies at the end. So, there you go. If you're mad and you're like, what? He just told me the end. It's like, first of all, when you see how the film opens, there a lot less anger at me will be. You'll be like, oh, damn. Okay. So yeah, it's sort of not really hidden that this will happen. This is just something that we're working toward, and it's a story about, sort of like doing a story about the Titanic. You know it's gonna sink. You know, it's something that you have to accept. But I'm a big fan of Michael Ausiello. Actually, I think it's very weird for me to talk about, to think about the fact that he wrote a book and then made a movie. And I, growing up and doing my thing and writing online, used to look up to people like Michael Ausiello and be like, man, I would love to do what he's doing. I'd love to have his career and have his life. And then to actually see his life on screen, and then to see what he goes through, and it sort of challenges your perspective of what was his life like, because I see his life as like an entertainment journalist and go, oh, well, I would love to do that. I mean, please, you know. But unfortunately, he had a lot more with his life, or fortunately, depending on how you look at things. I think he definitely looks at it, fortunately, that he had this opportunity in his life to love somebody for 14 years. And I think about, when I watch films about sort of people who are doing kind of what I'm doing, and they're real people, and I looked up to them, it's just so, it's very different and very odd for me. Like Roger Ebert's documentary, Life Itself, was so interesting to me for like wholly different reasons. Like, to some people it's just a documentary about Roger Ebert, but to me it's like, I will never be that, and it's it's what I really want, is to be that, and I can't even get on Rotten Tomatoes. So for a lot of people, we will never be that. It's like for actors who are like, they sit and they watch the Oscars every year and they go, oh my God, I really want to one day be on that stage. Most never will. Very few will even be in the audience for the Oscars. So, yeah, it's such a reminder of how far away I still am from, even after all of these years. I followed Michael Ausiello to TV Line when that came up. I wasn't really a fan of TV Guide. Actually, when TV Guide, before TV Line was around, I used to use a website, Zap to it, a lot. And then TV Line happened, and it was just structured better. and I felt like the information I was getting was more what I wanted. And I really enjoyed it, and he was one of the founding journalists, one of the first journalists on TV Line. And at least from what I remember, when I what my memory is telling me is that he was one of the founding members of TV Line. And so that's when I started reading his stuff and his spoiler alerts and, you know, his posts about television. And you could tell that this guy really did love TV, that this was not somebody who was being told to write about television, but who loved television. And I remember the Smurfs, and I had totally forgotten about his Smurf collection until the film touched on it, and I was just like, oh my god, the Smurfs, I remember that. And it was back when I could see too. And he would there were like some videos that he did where he had like the Smurf collection. And yeah, it was great. He had a nice collection back in the day, and I just watching this story and watching what his life was like beyond the website, beyond the recaps, beyond the spoilers, was really interesting, because with Ebert's film, I got a documentary. I got to see Ebert as Ebert, quite literally, in a retrospective after his death. But for this film, I got to see Ausiello in a way that is just more of a reflection of a period of time in his life, and a testament to his partner Kit, and actually husband by the time, anyway, and who is played by Ben Aldridge in this film, and Michael's played by Jim Parsons in this film. So it's a love story, back and forth. At its heart, that's what it is. It's about fighting through things. The spin on it, the Ausiello part, is that he loves TV, and it comes through. He keeps flashing back to his own time in his own childhood, thinking about his life as like an 80s sitcom, and what that would look like, and he would cope with things in a way that are reflective of being in a multicam, you know. And we cut to that several times throughout the film. So, and I remember Tara Summers being a big part of television, but I can't remember why. But I remember, like, I feel like I learned about Tara Summers through Michael Ausiello, and I thought that casting was so specific and so pointed. But I don't remember the connection of why Ausiello and Tara Summers, you know. But I think that was him asking her to be in the film. I don't think she actually just happened to audition for this film, but I think he actually chose her to play his mom, because he is credited as a producer, so it's not like he just sold his book to somebody and let them go make a film. I think he might have actually had some sort of casting choices in that, and I did notice it, and I was like, oh, that's Tara Summers. I feel like I know her because of Michael Ausiello. I don't think she's well known enough. It's like one of those things where you get somebody who's really excited about TV, and they just keep posting to you about a certain TV actor or actress that they're a fan of, or a TV show that they're a fan of that maybe not everybody watches. It's kind of that kind of thing, but I don't know how the Tara Summers connection, I can't remember the exact reason for it, but I'm positive Ausiello chose her. Um, and also Sally Field is in this. I can't not mention that. She plays the mother of Kit, and there's just some stuff that is nice about them. I remember looking at this from the perspective of an Oscar campaign and thinking, okay, so who's in this? Jim Parsons, Ben Aldridge. They're not necessarily likely. And then I saw Sally Field listed over in Gold Derby for the supporting actress race, and I was like, Sally Field is in the race, but we're not talking about her? And I kind of get it now, even though she has some moments in this, obviously, because her son is diagnosed with cancer. So she has exactly the moments that you would think of that a character would have in that regard. And she gives a great performance, but it's Sally Field, and she's given, oh my God, so many amazing performances, like over the years. It's just, over and over and over. And even, I'm less familiar with Ben Aldridge as an actor, so he probably impressed me the most, because I think I'll have a takeaway here of, oh, Ben Aldridge from Spoiler Alert, it gives me sort of like a point of reference for him moving on, a more firm. It doesn't mean I haven't seen him in things before. It just means now I have like that's where I can go back to him on that show. And Jim Parsons, for me, I think about The Normal Heart as being, at least what I've seen dramatically, he's got The Normal Heart, and he's got The Boys in the Band. So he's got some really strong work that he's already done in film. Here, he has some really terrific scenes, but a lot of it is stuck in almost this quasi-romantic comedy for most of the film. It's not like a full-on romantic comedy, but it's more of a romantic dramedy, as the trials and tribulations of life and everything just sort of surrounds them. This film is not very long, so we can't avoid getting to the cancer part forever. So it's not that big of a romantic comedy, but it does have some elements, and I think Parsons was an excellent casting choice here because he can navigate both. He can break your heart in one scene and make you laugh in the next. So it's a great choice. I don't know how much like Michael Ausiello. Oh my God, I said the wrong Michael. I hope Michael Ausiello does not watch my review. I don't know how much like Michael Ausiello he is, but from what I remember, but I think he does a good job with Michael Ausiello, the character, for this film. So it's a good film. I suppose I feel like I've seen it before. Would be like my only note, is I feel like even though this is specific to somebody, I don't feel like there's stuff here that we haven't seen. And I suppose the difference here is that it's a gay couple where somebody's dying of something that's not AIDS. I think that's why we feel like we've seen this story so many times before, is because there's so many gay movies where someone is dying, but it's always of AIDS or HIV. So that's why there's this deja vu feeling. I think to the film that it's just another partner loss film. But I think I would just have chosen to lean more into the TV fantasy parts of it, and how Michael copes with a lot of his choices through TV sitcoms. I think that would have been a more interesting way to set this film apart than then they use it. They use it sort of always retrospectively to talk about something that happened in his past. You know, whenever Michael is feeling about something, because that's when he used to do it. He said, when I was a kid, I used to imagine my life as an 80s sitcom. I think maybe some more moments later in the film, when he's going through stuff, imagining his life as a sitcom then, could have really helped to separate the film from those other films, you know, giving you that sort of split reality, instead of just sort of following the rote direction of films past. I feel very weird being critical of a Michael Ausiello project. This is, I never thought I'd be in this position because I respect him so much. That's why, if this review feels awkward to you at all, it's because I'm like, I don't know how to, and it's his life, too. I'm being critical of his life. And he's still alive. It's not even like a biopic where somebody's dead and we can be like, fuck that guy. You know, like, it's no, he's out there. He's still there. He fully has the ability to click on my review if he wanted to. So, yeah, it's tough to thread this needle very carefully, but the performances are good. I think releasing this film in the middle of Oscar season was a mistake. Obviously it just didn't register with anybody. I think I would have released this film sort of in the pre-Oscar season, before a lot of other films started getting talked about. I think September would have been maybe the sweet spot for this film, so that you can try to get the early conversation before people have made up a lot of their minds, before people have seen The Whale and Women Talking and The Fabelmans, and, you know, before those films come out and then just suck up all the energy, and then you just sort of become this other film in the marketplace that doesn't really the people aren't really necessarily giving you the time of day, because your film isn't really being considered for anything. I think that's probably the hardest thing, and that could be said of a couple of films that just got lost in November, December, that just didn't work. Their Oscar campaigns didn't work. They didn't make any money at the box office. They just got shoved into a crowded Oscar marketplace. And spoiler alert was there, but if spoiler alert had been at the front of it before the whole thing really got going, it might have been able to convince people through its good reviews that this was something worth watching, that this is going to be part of the race. Who knows? It may have even gotten some earlier buzz and a better platform, but a December release for this film was not necessarily the way to go. Hoping it finds more eyes on Peacock, because I did like this film. It's just not in my top for the year on anything, if I'm being honest. I've seen better acting performances. I've seen better films this year. I've seen films that will stick with me for a longer period of time. I just would have gone more I would have stuck with the split reality. I thought that was the most creative thing this film did differently, and it uses it only in that one regard. Because otherwise it feels sort of like we've been here before. That's the most I can say about it. So, but definitely check this one out. It's worth your time. It's not that long. It's under 2 hours. So it's not going to break your bank. And especially if you're somebody who, is really into this stuff. And I mean, this is Michael Ausiello's memoir. So he's an entertainment journalist. And how many times is this ever going to happen? How many entertainment journalists are ever going to get to write a book that is made into a movie? It doesn't happen that much. So, check it out. The audio description here was great. It really helps to navigate between the two worlds, and I love there's a scene that I loved having audio description on where Michael has to go de-gay Kit's apartment for his parents, so his parents don't come home and see all of the gay stuff, and it's almost entirely audio description. All of the things that they're taking off the walls, all of the pictures, the paintings. There's a comment about how he takes all of the DVDs and then leaves beaches, and then he goes back and takes beaches too. It's just like, why would a straight guy have beaches? So yeah, it's a the audio description does really help the film a lot with its non-verbal comedy, the choices that it makes. So like I said, it's a dramedy. It's got a little bit of both in it. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to give a spoiler alert a B+. I'm mostly positive on this film. So, God, I hope Michael Ausiello doesn't click on this review. If you do, I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm so sorry. I love you. I want to be you. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber, please click the subscribe button. I promise all my reviews are not this awkward. I don't always talk about somebody I idolize, where I find it really hard. I don't know what to really say. The next time that's going to happen is when I have to review Chris Stuckman's movie. I'm going to be like, I don't know what do I say about Shelby Oaks? I already know I'm dreading that moment, critiquing his film. So, yes, I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can find it. And you can go to theadna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know who is narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I apologize for the awkwardness of this review, but this was a weird film for me to review. I didn't think I'd ever be here. I'm sure he didn't think he would ever be here either. So, life takes turns on you that you didn't think I'd ever be a blind film critic on YouTube reviewing Michael Ausiello's things, and I'm sure he didn't think that he would be writing a memoir about his husband. So, I will be reviewing something else, and I will see you guys on the other side.